It is written.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Abyssfusion, and welcome back to another Forza Horizon 6 video. Welcome back to another customization video. If you saw in the last video, we worked on this 1992 Lancia Delta Integrale Evo that we got from the wheel spin. And just like before, we are going to see if we can get a vehicle from the wheel spin, we're going to modify it, we're going to test it out, and we're just going to see if it's any good or not. So, we currently have 15 super wheel spins, 7 normal wheel spins. We're just going to do the super wheel spins because there's a more of a higher chance for us to get a vehicle, and this is completely irrelevant to the video, but these are the current Forza Edition vehicles that I have got right now. And before anyone says all of these were earned, with the exception of the MX-5, because the MX-5 can actually be bought in free roam. So without further ado, let's see what vehicle we get to work on today. Let's see if we get a vehicle today. Maybe a Forza Edition. Okay, we have the G63 AMG 6x6 and the 12C McLaren Coupe. This is interesting. I don't actually know what to think about that. I like the McLaren, so we're gonna do the McLaren. The G-Wagon, or the fucking thing, whatever it's called, it is what it is, you know? McLaren. There it is. I actually have 3 McLarens I didn't realize. We have the Artura, the 750LT Coupe, and now we have the 12C. So we're just gonna have a look at this vehicle, look at the stats. So it is a S1 tier car, as to be expected. Almost 600 brake horsepower, over 14 kilograms in weight. Rear-wheel drive. We're just going to get into it and see what it's like, and it being a supercar, pretty much, it's not going to have that many customizations, I'm pretty sure. Let's have a listen. Sounds pretty good for what it is. So yeah, the McLaren 12C Coupe. So this is a car that I wasn't expecting to try out today. So the McLaren 12C came out, I believe it was 2011, or it was announced in 2011, or it was brought out in 2011, and it was one of the more cheaper McLarens that you could buy. I mean, then again, McLarens aren't cheap to begin with, but it was like cheaper than most of the other McLarens around at the time. Oh, it's got a active spoiler, which I didn't realize. I mean, then again, more air sufficient and more braking, like, efficiency, so that's kind of a good thing. So yeah, I don't really know much about the McLaren 12C Coupe. Obviously, McLaren being a British brand, it might be reliable. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know much about this car. The 12C never really interested me. There's very few McLarens in the world that, you know, interest me. The 12C, so yeah, I don't know much about the 12C. I don't really have that much history with McLaren that much. I mean, apart from, like, the F1 and the P1, those are, like, the 2 main McLarens that I'm aware of. Obviously, the F1 is one of the greatest supercars of all time, and probably one of the most important supercars of all time. The McLaren 12C, what I do know about it is that when it originally came out in 2011, 2012, I think it was just a little bit over £100,000, something like that. I can't remember the actual price, but because it was one of the more cheaper alternatives to a supercar, well, I say cheaper, it wasn't actually cheap, but it was cheaper than most of the other McLarens on the market. And I also believe it may have been a bit cheaper than some of its competitors. I think the R8 was around at the time. There was a bunch of other cars as well, so it was a little bit cheaper than its competitors, and I believe it was the cheapest McLaren at the time. That's all I realistically know about it. It's got good power, it's got good speed. It's pretty cool in terms of the design, which we'll have a proper look at when we get back to the garage. Again, I don't know much about the 12C, so we're going to dive into the 12C and just basically have a look at it. So here we are with the McLaren 12C in the garage, and for a car that's only a decade old, like, it's quite well, it's not an old car. It's 15 years old, and I think the design of this vehicle is still really good. McLaren have always done a really good job at designing their vehicles. I can't really remember the last time McLaren ever made a bad-looking car, if ever. There are a couple of modern cars that they have done that haven't exactly been as good as some older cars that they've done, I will admit that, but I do think that this car lives up to, well, what it is. I think it's a pretty decent looking, it's a good looking car, don't get me wrong, I think it's a good looking car. But we're here to check out the modifications and customizations, so we're going to go straight on to the appearance and the aero aspects of this vehicle, and obviously we're not going to have that many options. But because we're here, we can have a look at the performance correctly. So we have top speed 210, pretty much 210 miles an hour. We can remove the aero spoiler or the adaptive spoiler, whatever you want to call it, and put on a racing spoiler, which will decrease top speed, but we can mess around with that in the settings. Our braking and our off-road by quite a significant bit. To be honest with you, because there's nothing we can really do with the vehicle apart from the usual, so we're going to get the usual out the way. So these are the manufacturer colors. We got the normal orange, yellow. Wait, hold on. Am I saying that correctly? One of the manufacturer options on this vehicle is a carbon fiber on it. Just because that's an option, I'm putting it on. And because we are going to be basically chav, we're going to put the chav black tint on. So McLaren 12C, we've done a bit of work to it. We haven't done that much. I've kept the spoiler, we've upgraded the brakes, we've upgraded the tires, we've done weight reduction, we haven't done any performance mods, we're keeping it at S1 for now. The one thing I kept forgetting to do in the other videos is to actually do a race. So we are just under the S2, which is a good thing, because while I do want to make this into an S2 supercar at some point, I think I'm just going to keep it the way that it is. You know, I'm just going to keep it the way that it is, and I'll modify it at another time in terms of performance stuff. We're just going to see if this car is good on its own, or if it's bad with the brakes and with the suspension upgrades that we have done. The whole rear-wheel drive situation is going to throw me off just a little bit. Get the fuck out of my way. And yes, before anyone asks, I've accidentally kept the assist lines on. I was meant to turn them off. Get off my fucking back, idiots. I will remember to turn them off in the next video. I've totally forgot that they were on. I'll just take that corner, thank you very much. So it's doing okay at the moment. We're on 30% progress on the race. Got a significant amount of progress to make, and that's just lost me a bit of time. That's fine. We've got a Corvette and what looks to be... I don't actually know what that is at the front. Out of my freaking way. That was horrible for me. I've just lost my window. Accelerate out of the line. So far, this car's actually not that bad. Again, I don't know if I'm going to convert into all-wheel drive, because all-wheel drive will mean you have a bit more control at launch, and you're not going to be sliding around as often, but because the car manufacturer kept it as a rear-wheel drive, I think I'm going to keep it rear-wheel drive, but we're not going to do an insane amount with the power, because if we do that, the car's just going to slide around like a TVR Speed 12. Which, by the way, I just need to point out, if anyone knows if that car is coming to this game, because I've looked at the auction and I can't find the vehicle anywhere. The TVR Cerberus Speed 12. That car is a freaking nightmare. Both in-game and in real life too, to the point where the developer of the car, TVR, banned it from being sold when he drove it for the first time. Oh, we leveled up as well, which is cool. So yeah, that's the McLaren 12C Coupe 2011. If you did enjoy this video, I would appreciate it if you left a comment down below. Again, with these supercars, you're not really expecting that much in terms of customizations, apart from like the usual spoilers, bumper for more aerodynamic and more speed. Performance and stuff is pretty much all you're really going to be able to do with supercars like this. I'm glad I have this car, and that was a horrible drift. Imagine if I did that in real life. But yeah, 12C, very interesting supercar from McLaren. That's all I've got to say, really.